November 16th, we'll all be downtown. Which teams will be there? That's what we're here for. Right now, all we know is who won't be there. And today we're going to find out some more players that are going to go home. Armada taking on LG. As we're up to right now. So far, we've seen CLG take care of Nocturnes. SK fell down to Trifecta. And just before, Insignum was able to beat out No Ping. And so Insignum will go on to fight, basically, the winner of this. And we'll take a look at that tomorrow.
This is the time, it's a question as old as time in the Smite Pro League. Would the bottom SPL team lose to the top minor league team? Usually, I say there's no chance that would ever happen, but Insignum still in this tournament. Can't say the same for SK, so we'll see if Armada can knock out LG themselves.
As I said before, sorry, G-Mag, Insignum, they kind of had like a hyperbolic chamber here, kind of getting ready. Is the same for Armada. That's what we have yet to see. LG, though, we're going to talk to them first. Weak Daddy is standing by. Let's talk to him before the game.
Thank you, guys. I'm here with Weekend, the jungler for Luminosity Gaming. We're in day number 4 here at Weekend. Is there anything, any surprises or any unexpected events that you've seen so far?
No, not really. I mean, the SK games we saw today were really good games that they just couldn't close out, which was unfortunate. The one thing, we see a lot of Fenrir support, and I'm wondering where it all came from.
Yeah, I was wondering. We saw Gen X just pop off that last game. What are your thoughts about the Fenrir support?
I mean, we were running it. We didn't expect anyone else to be doing it, so it's kind of validating. Like seeing some other team really thinks it's good too, but it's also, did they pick it up from us? Were they doing it on their own? Kind of want to know.
So how would you say that your guys' performance is so far? You're going to be up against Armada. Outside of this specific matchup, how far do you think you can go?
I mean, we can go all the way. We already know that. This matchup should be a 2-0. I know the players, they're good players, should be a 2-0. Tomorrow's games should be good, but we expect to make it all the way.
Okay, so I ask everybody this question. So once you guys make it to HRX, who's joining you?
Ooh, well, we have to play SSG more than likely, because I think they'll probably lose a rival, for being honest. So they're not going to make it. Rival will make it. It really doesn't matter who. Does it really matter who else makes it, though?
I guess it doesn't.
It really, I don't think so.
It really doesn't. For Weekend's words right there, confident as ever, going up against Armada. Thank you so much for your time. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks a lot, Tully. Thanks a lot, Megamind. LG certainly very, very proud and very confident going up against this one. I like how Weekend said he kind of knows the players across the way. Copebby was brought into the league and Smite in general by this man. I'm pretty sure Weekend understands him a little bit.
Yeah, they're childhood friends, right? Yeah. I mean, they've known each other for a long time. So, yes, I think that Weekend is pretty familiar with them. And I imagine that this is a matchup that Luminosity's got to feel pretty good about, because the strong point for LG so far, by my estimation, has been Clout's play. Armada literally lost a game because of sBennyQ. So that's somewhere where Luminosity can really look to exploit.
I mean, one thing that was said about Armada previously was sometimes they don't even know what they're playing. And if there is any team out here and any single player that might have some idea of what Armada's doing, it would be Weekend in that matchup there. And both these teams kind of go for something a little bit stranger.
Was that sped up footage? I mean, I am dizzy from watching that. I mean, that's like the Bakasura with all the movement speed.
Gotta go fast.
Whipping it around. Goodness.
It's tough, and it's funny because all he does is left click, right? But when you're moving that fast, trying to stay on character, it's kind of fun. Kind of hard to do. Watching LG, though, you mentioned that, they kind of have an upper hand versus Armada, understanding the other side of the coin. I'm still looking at LG. Weekend has generally underperformed here at LAN today, or this weekend, rather. And Weekend's a guy that is inconsistent, but always, he will always get hot at a certain point. So when I'm watching LG, I'm sitting here and going, so when's the weekend drop? Like, when are we going to see it? That's a big deal for LG and their fans sitting at home. Armada, 5-player strong. They do have a coach, Clout. He's leading them in their victory, should they find it. Clout standing by. Let's talk to him and what he's got in store for LG.
I'm here with Clout, the coach here for Armada. Your opponent this time is going to be Luminosity Gaming. How do you think this matchup is going to go?
I'm pretty sure game 1 should be about a 40-minute game. We've been doing we've been doing a lot of VOD review. We actually wanted second pick and we got it, so we're really happy about that. And yeah, we're just gonna see how it plays out. We might have a few things up our sleeves, so yeah.
Ooh, some spicy picks here from Armada. So everyone is kind of alluding to this one particular matchup between these two teams, the Clout versus sBennyQ matchup. Are we gonna see anything crazy out of your boy?
If we take game 1, I guess relatively strong, we might with sBennyQ. I know Benny has a few pocket picks he loves running. He always runs them in ranked, so yeah.
So day 4 so far of the HRX placements, any kind of crazy, unexpected events that you saw?
Honestly, SK, I'm pretty sure like SK was taking a lot of games and scrims. Fails was really popping off at the boot camp. A lot of people were expecting them to take over Trifecta, and Trifecta pulled through, so yeah.
So outside of you guys make it to HRX, who's joining you?
I'd say Obey has a really good chance. I'd say, I mean, I'm biased because I'm coach, but Obey, us, and I'd say SSG. So, yeah.
Thank you so much for your time, Clout, coach of Armada, going up against Luminosity. Back to you at the desk.
Appreciate it. And, you know, yesterday I brought something up for kind of conversation's sake, the whole landed stir mentality, and I'm very happy that Aggro, you kind of shot it down. I think it's something that's a thought process from yesteryear. And when it comes to Clout, when it comes to competitive Clout, let me specify that, kind of being a troll here or whatnot, that's something that I think also needs to be left in yesteryear. When it comes time for competitive play, I've liked his approach to the game, and I think that he's really kind of grown up in that respect. When it comes to rank, that's a different story, but I've liked what he's done.
I think that what he said there about sBennyQ, how he's got those pocket picks, those are things that we see in those do or die situations or when they have a good advantage. For me, one of my favorite pocket picks from sBennyQ is the Bakasura ADC. I remember him pulling out a couple splits back. It wasn't during this season, but last season. It's a treat to watch some of Benny's pocket picks here, but will it be enough for this team? I think that, again, we're going to be seeing Copebby really need to step up for this squad.
sBennyQ is the guy who will never change his play style. No matter the matchup and no matter what the situation is in the game, he will be running at you no matter what. And Clout is one of the better boxing hunters in NA, at least throughout this week he has been. So I think that he could really have a chance to punish sBennyQ pretty heavily in this lane.
LG, look, I think they're the top card. I think that LG are the favorite here. They're supposed to win. An interaction that I thought was kind of funny. Clout is arrogant, I think is the easiest way to say that. And one of the Armada buddies walked down the hallway and he said, "Yeah, we're going to beat you." And Armada wasn't really all that confident. So Clout certainly feeling himself coming in this one. Picks and bans for game number 1. You heard Clout there saying that he opted for the secondary selection. Aggro, how do you feel about first versus second pick here for Armada?
I think that if I'm Armada, I'm really fine with second pick. First pick, I think, is a little bit better right now just because there's so many gods that set you up for such success, and it's the right number where you can ban away all the ones you're really scared of and only let one open if teams will let that happen. And so I think I'd rather be having first pick, but if Armada's got a strategy that goes for second, I don't think it's horribly unfavored right now.
I wouldn't be too surprised to see, again, the Erlang Shen get banned away. We've seen it time and time again. Not very often that he's actually gotten through today, especially with Mercury as well, has also been one of the top bans. I think he's still sitting at that 100% ban mark.
So as we look at the picks and bans kind of continue, LG taking their time here with their secondary ban. Pele and Mercury already off the board, so both teams really thinking about the jungle. And that's Bobby right there. Inbound, he's very vocal in these P's and B's. Coach Hathy right behind him. What would you ban here if you're LG, J-Mac?
Freya, it's a good option. They want the Erlang
Cheater.
Shen.
Nice call, J-Mac.
No, I mean, I really think that they want the Erlang Shen, so taking away, the Freya, Odin, Terra, those are like probably the top 3 that I would have gone to.
All right, J-Mac. If you're Armada, who do you ban?
Erlang Shen. Do not let Weekend get Erlang Shen. Don't let any team really get Erlang Shen. I mean, Inbound didn't have the best performance with the Erlang Shen, but Weekend for sure can really allow this god to pop off.
I agree. I think I'm banning Erlang here if I'm Armada. Maybe I leave it open as well as Odin and try and force LG to pick it, and then we get Odin Terra on the backswing. I think is a pretty good 2 picks if I'm Armada. The problem is who's going to be your Odin player on Armada. I'm not trying to put Odin in the hands of Cope because I need Cope to do the hardest of carries up against Luminosity.
Well, Odin's going to be the ban there. So option over to LG for their first selection. I want to see the Erlang Shen. I think that's the choice for Weekend without a doubt. I don't know what Bobby's doing there, but Weekend going to be picking up Erlang Shen.
Bobby's just doing Bobby stuff, man. Let a man be. That's just what Bobby's going to do.
Listen, Bobby in the past month or so has gone from a regular young boy to ultimate anime weeb, and I can't deal with it.
Oh, no, he's definitely been anime weeb for a while. It's just been a little under the surface.
He's never not been, really. He's good at hiding it sometimes, but once you start sitting there and browsing the Twitter, you recognize that he's always been there.
Something that he hasn't been able to hide is his exuberance, and I think that while his gameplay might be questioned here this week, I think that his attitude and his approach to the game is certainly very strong. We always talk about how he's a jovial person, how he's going to be a big voice, but he's willing to learn. That's really my biggest takeaway from him here. Our biggest concern has been Inbowned and his short time at the Pro League level, coming over from the console scene. And after what I've garnered from talking to LG after every game, after every match, he's just taking note. What did I do wrong? How can I improve? And if LG want to win, not just this match, but matches in the future, that has to be the attitude Athena thought about here for LG.
Now, I do hope that LG has learned from the earlier week's performance, and that Erlang Shen shouldn't be going to Inbound this time around.
Yes.
That was a rough performance, and it's so good in the jungle that I just don't see a real reason to put it elsewhere in my mind right now. Athena Ra is a great 2 picks. Erlang Shen Ra is the combo that really brought Erlang into the forefront of competitive a couple years ago with Aurora and Best, and I think that Geno's looking to do a little bit more of the same.
Why haven't we seen the laser chicken? Puch picked up across the way. Not a lot of Ra here.
You just said it. Puch picked up across the way. It's a really, really good matchup for Puch. You guarantee that you're going to stun the Ra. Ra wants to group up with his team so that you can stand in the Solar Blessing heal. Puch wants you to group up so he can murder all of you.
That makes sense.
Puch, Vulcan, and Discordia, probably the big 3 that I would say why we haven't really seen a whole lot of Ra. He is a somewhat safe mage, has that sustain, but Puch is a very strong matchup against him. I like it into not only the Ra, but the Erlang Shen as well, just because of the self-sustain that comes through with it. And I'm not 100% convinced either that this Athena is going over to Inbound. We did see Kiki play it previously. I would not be surprised to see possibly a Fenrir ban here, because Inbound did have a good Fenrir game.
That's a big point. That was certainly a large point right there. Ra, I think, is almost certainly going to go into the mid lane into the hands of Geno. So we'll think about it here. What's Vinny doing? Admin getting in the face right there. But the ban still on the side of LG. And this is where I was going to go. When you have a Ra in the middle lane, you've got to be wary of the jungle selection. Naja and Bakasura are 2 of the prominent junglers right now that you really have to at least think about banning, because Ra, I won't say immobile because he moves super fast with that passive, but those are characters that can absolutely stick to him and punish him hard.
I really don't mind playing Ra against Bakasura, because Baka just kills mid lane mages anyways. With Ra, at least if I live with 10%, then I'm already standing in my heal. I've got a chance to actually survive his follow-up auto attacks after Regurgitate. A well-timed Aegis will save your life. That slow from his 2 is actually pretty relevant up against Baka if you time it for after that CC immunity from Regurgitate wears off.
Yeah, not only that, you do get the protections inside the heal, so if your Aegis is down and you kind of get caught out, you can throw that heal ahead of yourself, gain those extra protections, try and live through that. But the Fenrir ban here by Armada, I love this. After the performance Genetics had on it last time, and through Bobby's performance as well, I love seeing this god finally getting some ban time.
You heard Weekend. They're kind of the team that did it first in their mind, so certainly worth banning out there. Nemesis also banned out. Armada not really convinced that Weekend is going to be playing the Erlang Shen, or maybe thinking that Kiki might bring out his solo Nemesis.
I mean, Luminosity is the team that did it first, right? Because they had the first set on
Yep.
Monday. So I guess he's right in
Yep.
that regard. I'm a little surprised that LG doesn't spend more time, or more bans rather, focused on Cope, because Weekend, as we mentioned previously, very close with Cope. And if you watch Armada play, then Cope is the one who's going to stand out the majority of the time that Armada's winning. So I think that only banning away 2 of his gods is still a win for Armada. He still has the Susano available, the Thanatos, some picks that he really likes.
There's the theory of the grudge match. Weekend wants to beat his buddy on his god, right? There's a theory there.
Yes, I can I may have actually heard Weekend say, let him pick whatever he wants, I don't care. That sounds like a sentence Weekend has said at some point in his life.
Yes, it does.
So maybe that is the play.
But, I mean, that's when it comes down to, having the fun, the grudge match. This is LAN. You don't really want to give him his best god on LAN. You want to give him as far down in the god pool as possible to give yourself the best possible advantage here. And Sobek being locked in, I love this.
Speaking about his best possible god, I'm seeing Jingwei. I'm seeing Sobek as well. Nobody leaps on LG. But when I think Cope, I think of Wheelish.
That is true. That is always a thought process for Cope, but I still feel like the Thanatos or the Susano is a direction he's much more likely to go in.
I'd love to see Thanatos. I like him a little bit. Nox. Support? Solo?
That would be solo or support if that is what gets locked here. Luminosity has really been putting Inbound on not easy support characters. It's been Erlang Shen support, which a lot of people will say is pretty easy. It's pretty easy to get killed on Erlang support, and Inbound put that on display. The Fenrir support, also not easy to execute perfectly. So the Luminosity clearly has a lot of faith in Inbound, and we'll see if he's able to follow it up, as they do end up locking in that Nox.
Like I said, I don't think that faith is misplaced. I think it might be a little bit early to have this much faith in him, though. He's a player that certainly needs to, start learning. What is he writing?
I've got no idea.
I see.
He's
there
writing
you go.
Blink. He's writing Blink for SmiteVOD.
Oh, okay. I saw BI and immediately told the cameraman to look in a different direction. But we'll see how it goes. He's passing over the notes. Hachiman will be the carry of choice for Clout. And Thor is being thought about. Another character that we haven't seen for a while.
They're struggling writing this note to us, and maybe that isn't a sign of good things to come for Luminosity in this game.
They needed their coach to come help them out.
They needed somebody to teach them how to spell Chiron is what it looks like, because they had Blink and they wrote C and they're like, wait, how do we finish this one off?
That actually might have been the problem, that Bobby did not remember how to spell Chiron at the time. I can totally see that being an issue for the man.
Well, in either event, LG's certainly having a little bit of fun.
Come on, boys, you got it.
I think Vinny's getting involved
there
too.
There we go. Blink Chiron OP. That's the message. That's where I thought that was.
I'm very happy we
got there, boys.
We finally did it to them. Armada right now, they picked Ratatoskr. So, oh well. Looking at the draft here from Armada, I think it's safe and sound. I think Ratatoskr is a fantastic jungler that's been kind of neglected here on the LAN stage.
I would say so. Ratatoskr has had a very strong performance. I think Frostiak had the best performance on it so far out of all of the players out here, but Ratatoskr, I mean, he's not quite the Thanatos, he's not quite a Thor, he's kind of that in-between. He's got a good knock-up with the ultimate, that semi-global pressure. He's got a stun. Most importantly, he's got the protection shred, which we really need up against these tankier targets.
I think part of me really wishes that was Thor instead, because I think the wall is so good against this composition from Luminosity, but at the same time, Nox is so good against Thor that you really don't want to pick that in that position. I think the Nox pick also dissuaded that Susano selection that Cope might have been looking for.
LG and Armada, game number 1, kind of tight. One word, boys, who wins?
LG.
I got Armada.
Ooh, split down the middle right here. Let's get into the action. 3, 2, 1, game number 1.
Thank you so much, Desk. Yeah, myself and Taco will be on the cast for this all-NA encounter. Loser goes home in this best of 3, and well, let's hope LG can do more in this game than they did with trying to write 3 words on paper in this game. Bit of a warning sign there, if anything, of how difficult it is for LG to put things together this season. Armada, though, not so far behind. Let's be honest. This is definitely a battle of 2 teams that neither wants to lose. A lot of pride on the line between these 2.
It's mostly pride on the line, I would say, between these 2 teams. Both very familiar with each other and all relatively good friends with each other, as far as I'm aware, and for good reason. I think that there's always a certain level of respect that comes into play whenever these competitive matches come about.
Well, so far, the minor league teams have actually done a little bit better than the counterparts at the bottom of the SPL. SK Gaming eliminated, and Signum still marching on. Maybe Armada are about to do the same thing to LG here and just show the level of talent the minor league has to offer. But it is going to be inbound on the Nox this game, and I'm excited to see whether this works out.
I saw Blink Chiron in the notes, but neither of these teams even bothered picking Chiron, so you kind of wonder, have the coaches' strategies already started falling apart?
Well, the first thing is LG's looking at old tape, I guess is the issue, but it's going to be Kiki on the Athena up against Braz Terra. And I'm not really excited to really be an Armada frontline of this game up against this Nox. I did think it may be... We'll see how it plays out, but I do think this Nox could cause a lot of problems, because Terra wanting to dash in, going to get silenced out. Same can be said for a Sobek.
Pretty similar vibes, though, to what we saw from the CLG set recently up against Rival. Hurrywin has been running rampant with the Nox so far, and looks like Inbound trying to give it a shot as well. So without the damage orient, I'm not sure how it's going to fare without the damage oriented type build. Yeah. I think that we haven't seen a whole lot of Nox support because teams have not wanted to take that risk just yet. But when it all comes down to what could be your last possible best of 3, Luminosity is just going with the composition they feel is going to serve them best.
It's about comfort, I guess, more often than not, and LG clearly comfortable to run this against the minor league Armada. Start the game, though, just checking through the build, see if there's anything interesting. Both blinks on the junglers. Something you can expect on an Erlang Shen, and 50-50 on a Ratatoskr, I'd say, depending against the composition he's going to deal with.
Probably less risk involved for a weakened side of things in comparison to Copebby. Ratatoskr can be a little bit easier to punish early on up against the Erlang Shen. Weaken already using some of this early game warrior prowess to try and force Copebby away from his Harpies, but it looks like he's prioritizing the mid wave over stripping away Cope's farm.
And because of that, that means that LG will have pressure in that mid lane, which means they could look towards the Oracles or a rotation. Sibyl on the dual lane, look for a pluck, slightly off the mark, unfortunately. You always want to get your first couple in, you know, get your eye in, get comfortable, and make sure you're connecting. So Sibyl going to have to adjust that next time round.
Warm-up rounds for Sibyl, same thing for Inbound on that Nox, unable to connect with the root. Might have been some pretty solid damage, too, for sBennyQ to try and deal with at level 3, but as it currently stands, neither side really willing to budge here in this matchup.
sBennyQ going to use the beads, and Inbound gets plucked straight after the fight by Sibyl, but that actually got him out of the fight. That means that Inbound should be able to walk away and resustain, lucky enough for him. However, beads and sprint with the exchange, actually, funny enough, Sibyl uses speed sprint there as well, so in the end, LG come out okay.
That was a beautiful play from Clout. Had he not gone in with the Ai-Jitsu right then and there is no chance of Bobby's survival. Even with Sibyl having plucked him a little bit out of range from sBennyQ's auto attacks, it's the stun from Clout after sBennyQ used those beads preemptively to avoid the Nox silence and go aggressive. It's just stuff that you don't necessarily expect from the Hunter, but that's a play that comes from experience.
We can hang it out on this right-hand side. We'll be able to help Kiki strip away that blue buff from Armada on the right-hand side, and Kofi's going to be looking at the left-hand side instead. The red buff is about to spawn, and I think he is aware of it now, so he will take this down. We've seen this out of some junglers sometimes, where they just don't want to meet each other, so they kind of split the map apart.
Splitting up the map, though, is also just great for the early game, because at least for Armada, I think that they have some very vulnerable members, mostly looking towards Sops and Bruh for early game punishment, and as long as they can continue to kind of divert the attention of Luminosity, then Armada might have a better chance of making it to that mid to late game stage where their composition can really start to rise.
Slight lead for Armada at the moment in terms of experience gain, a little bit more solo farm, and I suggest this is the reason for that. As 3 members hit level 5 a little bit quicker, but solo, the jungle, and the mid of Armada slightly ahead.
Jing advantages of being able to hit those back Harpies off of every single base back.
That's true.
As long as Copebby hasn't taken them first, sometimes your mid laner might occasionally pay a visit to those Harpies also, but sBennyQ should have a small lead. I'd imagine that Clout is going to try and just play this matchup really heavily around the Eagle Eye shots and his Heavenly Banner. He's got some great poke tools to use against sBennyQ.
Definitely, and it's one of the reasons Hachiman does get played, well, used to get played significantly, was not only the fact he was relatively safe, he had decent range, and his ultimate can be used defensively, offensively in a lot of situations.
But this is probably Clout's best Hunter, without a doubt. I think that this is a Hunter that Luminosity saw a lot of their early Season 5 success with in their sets, and he might honestly have the best Hachiman in the SPL right now.
Spoke about all the teams coming in yesterday, actually, and LG, my biggest issue really with them and what they were trying to do is that they've done roster changes so late in the season. Geno used to be the support player for this team. He moves to the mid lane, and then they bring up one of the best console players available, a console player that won Worlds last year, to the support role in Inbound. But I think the biggest issue, Taco, is it's just so late in the season to try and do this.
Bobby's still trying to earn his stripes on PC.
Exactly.
It's not going to be an easy task for him, but I do think if he tries to stick with it, this was a great place to start, and I think Luminosity was probably one of the better teams that he could have found a home towards.
Oh, for sure, because like you can't go anywhere but up, right? If you sat at the bottom of the league, so it's not a terrible situation for a new player coming to the pro level. Golden experience, relatively even at the moment. Kiki just trying to clear things up, all balanced out. Both these teams being quite respectful to one another in the early game. I guess that's because they both recognize each other's strategies and know each other so well. Is
When
that
it comes
like
to
a rank game?
It's Athena and Terra. I think they both know what to expect out of this matchup. Neither side really has much of an advantage over the other. Kiki maybe a slightly easier time in terms of clear, as Weekend walks on over that ward. SmiteVOD more than aware that he's there, and Weekend, having realized it, just going to stick around for the farm and nothing more.
SmiteVOD, though, gave a game away. He walked away immediately as soon as he saw that ward get stepped on. He's going to be afraid of the blink, but there's a chance you could try and bait out that blink if you would have potentially just hung out, especially Jing Wei.
The problem is he can't really afford to stick around and absorb too much damage because you've got Clout with the mounted archery who has a guaranteed hit, even if SmiteVOD were to go into the airstrike.
But I think the airstrike would have been enough. He gets blink out of, as soon as the blink happens from Weekend, he ults away, he could be safe.
He'd have to, it'd probably be a blink into the turtle form knockup just for initial damage. And since he has his beads, I think that Weekend would have probably tried to use the Erlang ultimate to pull him back in from the agility. Then the airstrike would have come through, but the amount of damage that might have already been applied could have been enough for Clout.
That's fair. It's just one of those things, so you look at it and it could have been, what would have been. Maybe you waste a bit of Weekend's time in the jungle. End of the day, it's not too much of a big issue. Blue buff on the right-hand side, though, has spawned for Armada, and this time Cope is in position to make sure that Bra will get his own blue buff, and Kiki can't strip it away. But there's a trap being set for Cope in the jungle right now, as 4 members of LG are all grouped up. Just a little bit late to do anything, as all the caps are down on that side.
Armada have most of their bodies on the opposite side of the map, in fact. They were looking to play defense on their red buff. Maybe having been anticipating Weekend in the gang to try and look for an invade there. But I think the most significant difference I've noticed between these two hunters is their build paths early on. Clout wanted to go for the full finished warrior tab, I think because he saw it as a better opportunity to get some early kills. Meanwhile, SmiteVOD went straight for Devos, expecting to play this matchup a little bit more safe and passive, but now with 27 stacks and climbing, by the time Clout does end up finishing these Devo gloves, he's going to be behind by 30, 35, some odd stacks, and that could be a pretty heavy disparity in terms of damage.
Comes a gank onto Clout, who immediately recognizes that Ratatoskr ultimate was on the way, so will ult in response. Nicely timed, and I'm not sure if that was vision or just the noise. It could be either with a Ratatoskr.
Probably a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Whenever there's a Ratatoskr on the map, I know so many hunters that tend to look up expecting it.
Bra trying to steal away this blue buff isn't successful. Got to be a little bit careful of Weekend and Kiki. Could follow up. The blink is there. The wall is dropped. The squash onto Weekend works, but Bro is still under pressure. And a good pin from Weekend will secure a kill for Kiki. First blood, the way of LG.
And that's part of the danger that Cope went for when he decided to gank that dual lane. He basically announced to all of Luminosity, my ult is down, and all of LG knew it, so Weekend just goes to the most punishable lane he could think of. That's going to be Bra. And Bra, having stepped up so far, I'm not really sure what his game plan was to try and invade the blue buff.
That's really a misplay from Bra there, recognizing that he knows he's got no support on this side. He felt relatively safe. But if you don't know where the jungler is, you've got to be a bit more passive there in that situation. Let's take a look back at that respawn first blood, and you'll see exactly what we're talking about with Bra being at that blue buff.
He was just so deeply invested into the blue buff.
Bobby's a replay!
Bobby is so beautiful. Just look at the love.
Look at the love indeed. There was a little better look at this, though. As Bra tries to get away, the Weekend ult comes through. Forces the ult out of Bra, but there's still enough control here to just keep him CC'd up consistently and Kiki pick up the kill.
And it looked like Weekend waited until after he'd already had the chance. Oh, that thought though, Copebby right now in a whole world of trouble, but it's Geno who's actually going to get plucked back in and served into his own death. Copebby still alive. He's going to get away from Inbound.
Cope gets away, but Bra is here for cleanup crew to make sure Inbound gets punished. Love the decision from Cope to sit inside Sops' ultimate there. The outpost did so much damage. Weekend and Kiki are back, but Weekend is completely out of health, and he was still taking a bit of dot damage there for a second. He slips the net just in time and survives, but Armada get 2 kills there for nothing else. Now Cope may be looking for a kill on Clout.
Clout knows it though. He's got to understand there's more coming in here. SmiteVOD's going to get a chance to survive. Clout wanted the 1v1, but there's no such thing as a 1v1 in competitive play.
Kiki the only one really around to contest this now. Geno on the way as well with his ultimate, but the gold fury is getting relatively low, relatively quickly too. Kiki's zoned away. Gold fury taking a bit of time. NotGeno gets in range, sniped too late, but it does hit to 2 targets, and that puts Sops in trouble. The Aegis keeps him alive for now as Kiki ends up falling to sBennyQ. Brud avoids the damage from the silence, and Armada slip the net with 2 kills and a Gold Fury. It's 4-1. Armada are winning this game.
That was such strong follow-up there for Luminosity as well, but just not enough damage. They had the right intent, and Kiki ends up losing his life to set up that beautiful taunt. Just so unfortunate for Luminosity that they're unable to recover anything from that.
Is there anything LG can get in response, though? Pyromancer is available, but they're not really in a position to do it just yet, as Weaken is looking to hunt through Cope's jungle. Blue buff is about to spawn. Cope is doing his back harpies on the same side, and they may end up meeting, but I think Weaken will have the clear in plenty of time before the rat can show his face.
I doubt that Copebby still feels comfortable enough to try and take up a 1v1 with Weaken. I think in a team fighting aspect, Cope is more than happy to try and aggress onto this Erlang, but you never really want to try and fully aggress into him because 9 times out of 10 you're going to lose that matchup.
Interested by Geno's build here, going for this Sobek Reaver so early in the game. Clout forced to Aegis, still has his ultimate, has to use that as well. It turns a bit of damage onto Cope, but I will say Cope doing a very good job of trying to keep Clout pinned down here.
Clout got extremely lucky there that his ult just so happened to come up at the exact moment his Aegis ended, because otherwise I think he's dead by rights there.
For sure, I don't think there's much more you can get away from that, especially with the stun after the fact. And speaking of that, he did go for the Aegis over the beads. Are you surprised by that at all?
A little bit, but we'll get into that in a second, because right now it looks like Armada, they just want to get inside of Luminosity's jungle. Inbound's going to be the target focus yet again, as Sops unable to find anybody inside of that Unleash the Crypts, but the space denial for this red buff, Bobby was able to secure it, but that doesn't mean that Armada are going to let Luminosity pick it up. That's
true. It seems to be Armada on the aggression, though, on the duo side of the map consistently here, looking for picks on Clout, pressure onto Inbound, and it's actually putting Geno in a couple of awkward situations, too.
This is exactly what Armada need to be doing, though. After they got the initial win over taking the Gold Fury and getting some really nice picks that led into that, if they keep the map pressure going, it's going to prevent Luminosity from having an opportunity to bring this Nox back into relevancy. I think that's been the primary issue here, is that you've got Sibyl as the Sobek for these early team fighting initiations, but Inbound's going to take a little bit longer to ramp up to that level. Definitely. In the support role as well for Nox, she's not there for trying to kill targets whatsoever, not 1v1. She's all about controlling the team fight, supporting the team. If anything, she can play very backline and be the peeler for her team. The silence field alone causes so many problems. And worst case scenario, well, you've still got your ultimate to help out in damage reduction. And it's not even that Luminosity got out-rotated there. It was simply just really strong outplay picks from Armada that led into that Gold Fury. And since the Gold Fury has already been taken, that's the main reason why we see Copebby paying so much attention towards his dual lane side, because all he has to do is continuously pressure out Clout. It doesn't matter if he finds a kill. Would it be ideal? Yes, of course. It's always fantastic to find picks, but he doesn't have anything to lose. Because at best, Luminosity get a Pyromancer. At worst, what, Copebby gets a kill or two? With how this game's gone so far, Armada have got themselves in a pretty okay position. A bit of a lead here and there, in terms of experience at least. The gold is there too, but that's not a whole huge margin whatsoever. Experience, however, the second relic's very important at level 12. So hitting that 12 marker before the opposition gives you a power play window for a few moments at least. Geno, though, doing a pretty solid job of keeping up with Sops in terms of farm, considering that he did take a pretty early death there. I do find it very interesting, though, that he's going for the Soul Reaver rush immediately after cooldown boots. I'm surprised about that, too, because normally it's Book of Tough in that situation, I guess, if you go in that path, or even further in the build. I'm interested to see how this ends up paying off for him. We'll see as it comes through, though, because penetration now being worked on. First bit of penetration coming out from that mid laner, as Armada is still around this left-hand side. They're trying to control this heavily, looking for the rotations out of LG and catching them off guard. That was a big back for Clout, though. Able to finish off that Executioner, and sure, he's a little bit of gold behind sBennyQ, so sBennyQ's going to have the half-item advantage, but I think that the Exe for the Hachiman is going to pair very nicely, because damage has definitely been an issue already for Luminosity. Definitely, but as the game goes on, they've got a CC chain that's really impactful. They do have a Ra for the snipe power after the chain connects, but it's all about using it
effectively here. There's quite a bit of anti-heal slowly but surely filtering down. Cope's already picked up a Brawlers here to make sure they can contain Ra some. Not only that, there is an Puch and a Sobek on the team to make sure this healing doesn't get out of control.
Kiki getting frisky now with Bruh in his jungle, and except the difference is Kiki will actually be successful in taking away that blue buff, so Bruh probably not too happy about that one. But Kiki's free to proxy farm to his heart's desire. Armada know that if they try to invest resources towards ganking this Athena, it's not worthwhile since that Gold Fury has respawned.
Completely agree. However, LG will just rotate towards mid lane as the Gold Fury has been started up. Clout will be the first on the scene. Cope's already in the sky. The calls will come out from LG. Is LG steal it away? Not sure who got credit for that, but Cope's in the fight and takes out Inbound. Clout takes out sops. And now Clout has to Aegis and beads away from the Ra. Sibyl still forced out of the fight as sBennyQ trading with Weekend. Weekend's about to get a heal through, and he needed it badly. Still on the run is Kiki, but the damage has been done. Armada started the Gold Fury. LG strip it away and go 1-for-1.
Weekend able to outblink Cope's blink. Sound cues are everything in Smite at competitive levels of play. They will wind up losing their red buff in the process, but Luminosity, they not only get a pick onto sops, but all they trade out for it is their support Inbound, and they get the Gold Fury.
I'm still not sure who even got that gold. It may have been Inbound with an ultimate.
I think it might have been the Nox ultimate from Inbound, because the Heavenly Banner from Clout, I don't believe it actually came through in time. Still, great stuff from Luminosity's duo lane, because they were the only ones who were even local to the area to try and contest that.
That was one of the calls from Armada where you look at it and you go, are we committing or are we zoning? We've got to at least zone or commit to the Gold Fury. And I think the hesitation of not having someone zone there and committing correctly is what ended up costing them, because you've got to respect the damage that this LG team can bring, and Benny is going to feel the full heat of this damage, forced to Aegis away most of that. Geno looking for the follow-up, but a quick dash will put him back to safety. Kills do not dictate this game so far.
sBennyQ is exposed now to weaken, and that's the more important part. He doesn't have that Aegis for quite some time here. Kiki actually going to taunt in Sibyl in the mid lane. CC chain coming through, but it's not enough damage just yet to bring down the Croc.
Still a Sobek that's plenty tanky. Weekend on the other hand could be under a lot of pressure. Kiki's there to support with a beautiful ultimate. The taunt after the fact gets the beads out of Copebby. Now Sops is in the mix too, but he's under pressure from Inbound being CC'd, and Geno picks up the scraps.
Kiki, though, still looking to push forward, but sBennyQ's made the rotation, and this has just got to be your get-out card right now for Luminosity. You found the one-for-one response, but Copebby, he's taking this as a sign to go in through the Cosmos being charged, and Kiki's the target.
Kiki knocked up again, and Cope goes onto a killing spree, 3-0-3. sBennyQ diving in on Geno, who has no mana, and now has no life. The W key just too strong for Geno to handle, as Cope gets a double kill. Armada, 4 members strong against only Clout. Turn towards the potential Fire Giant here.
This looks like a very real Fire Giant attempt. Sibyl is more than healthy enough to start pulling away. Bruh gonna drop some sustain for the team. And it's only Weekend and Clout to try and play defense with this Fire Giant's already down to half health. And Armada, they already learned from their mistakes. They messed up with the Gold Fury and didn't zone away then. But bruh, with zone duty on patrol, not gonna let Clout even have a chance at stealing away that fire.
Fairness to Clout there too. Don't like to give him too much credit, but he's had no ultimate, no relics either. What else can you really do as a Hachiman there? Especially when you've got a Terra in your face and the whole team of Armada right behind it if they were required. Fire Giant then to Armada, and now they're the ones in the power play once more.
That whole fight just went from bad to worse for Luminosity though, and it starts off with Kiki, I think, just trying to peel with those taunts and get himself out of dodge, but Cope just catches him out with the Through the Cosmos, and instead of immediately disengaging, Geno and Inbound got a little bit baited there trying to save the life of their teammate. I think sometimes you just have to accept that your teammate is going to die, and you've got to let him go.
If you see any of that game back whatsoever, what happened there, I mean, they go for a pick on Sibyl, Sibyl survives, but at the same time that happens, Armada go for a pick on Weekend and are successful. Problem is that LG end up piling in to help out Weekend. That turns into 1 by 1 by 1 they all die. Now a Fire Giant goes down, and Armada starting to group up on this right-hand side.
I almost wish that Luminosity would have just fully committed to Sibyl instead once they realized that there were way too many members surrounding Weekend and that he was dead already.
Really awkward situation then. Armada take a tier 1. Cope's going to push him mid-tower. Should be just get a tier 1 of his own because everyone on LG is grouped on this right-hand side. And if Armada communicating well, Cope could be going for this tier 1 tower. Instead, he's doing a bit of a flanky flank at the moment. Maybe able to get around the back, although he did just step on a ward. Sibyl eats a bit of damage. Inbound eats even more damage. Dashes away to safety. Gets the ult out of Kiki. Throws the ult in response to Cope on the back, though, knocks him up. Inbound still on the run, but Cope will dash in to finish him off. Snipe out from Geno, hits onto 2, but not a whole lot of damage there. The Fire Giant buff just keeping Armada topped up. The tier 2 tower eventually will fall. Not many minions though, so it'll take a few extra seconds.
Geno just doesn't have any penetration that's going to be able to deal even a dent against these carries from Armada, and that Searing Pain might have been the best proof of it. With the Divine Ruin, sure, you get, what, plus 10, but that's not anywhere near enough pen, especially when you factor in how much defensiveness Armada already have going for their front line.
Mainly for the tags, isn't it? That's what it's about. Terra and Sobek, both of them, were the ones that got hit by that sniper. But end of the day, you're really looking for those squishes at the back. Armada, 5 men strong in mid now, starting to siege things up. Benny using his knock-up to try and give himself a bit of an attack speed boost. Weaken over the wall, throws out the pin to cause a distraction. Doesn't do much, however. Tier 2 does fall, and immediately Armada head to the left-hand side of the map to look at the gold view.
We've already taken down 2 T2 towers. That's already 3,000 gold as is, and they're just adding to the pockets right now. This next back for the members of Armada is going to be devastating for Luminosity because the itemization lead that Armada are about to have for the next couple of fights will not be easy for Luminosity to handle. They're already suffering in terms of dealing enough damage to bring down anyone from Armada. So I can't even begin to imagine what things are about to start looking like.
Bit of a trap in the jungle from Luminosity. They're very far forward, looking out Bra, who's silenced, shrewd in place, knocked up 2. Snipe up to the back, still doesn't kill Bra. They wasted a lot of abilities there to try and bring down a tank, and turn around is fair play. Cope goes onto Geno, and the Aegis is forced. On the back of this fight, Puch is doing decent damage to the whole team. Inbound gets out, as does Clout, forcing the ultimate out of Clout. Meanwhile, Kiki has to escape on the left-hand side, but Weaken ends up going back in, trying to clean up some remnants of that fight and make something worthwhile. But at the end of the day, LG lose 2 lives. Armada, still no problems, all alive.
Copebby is just cleaning up shop right now. He fully committed to Geno because he was that unconcerned about the level of damage that Luminosity were exerting onto him. With the Mad Guy's Blessing and the Mantle of Discord, his defenses are just too high up there right now. Level 19 as well. That's 3 levels over Weekend, 2 levels over Geno. And it's just so difficult for this Raw to survive up into the face of Armada because Sops' anti-heal has already been such a threat to Geno that he's having to play far back as is. But I just found that group up to begin with rather odd because of how deep Luminosity were inside of Armada's jungle.
I think a pick there helps them out, but the target they went on, the Terra, probably not the greatest in the world, and I think they should have known going into that where their damage numbers were going to fly, and if they invested in Bra, it's not enough.
Clout wasn't even there. Clout was probably the only member on Luminosity who could have actually brought Bra down during that CC chain, and yet he was coming up from mid lane, it looked like, or somewhere near the Pyromancer pit, but he was not involved with that initial aggression. It was just Geno, Inbound, and Weekend.
Credit where it's due, though. Copebby is having the game of his life right now. He's really stepping up. Been involved in 11 out of the 12 kills so far, undying so far. And now at this moment in time, Armada are going to get another free Fire Giant. I'm surprised that LG aren't trying to contest this whatsoever or put up some sort of fight, because they do have quite a bit of control to cause an issue. Instead, they give it up, take a tier 1 down the left-hand side, try and strip away a bit of the jungle on the left-hand side. There's not that much up for them to really get.
And that might have seemed like a wasted ult, but I can assure you that it wasn't. Copebby mostly
it.
using that through the Cosmos to make sure that there wasn't anybody from Luminosity trying to be sneaky and look for behind-the-wall Fire Giant steal or just coming out from Armada's jungle, trying to strip that one away.
Well, the next question for Armada is Phoenix sieging. And it's been an issue for quite a few teams this land so far. Specifically, Armada is on that list too. We'll see if they can adjust from the past mistakes they've made. Because as we mentioned, this is the best of 3, and the loser is going home.
Base sieging is definitely a little bit more problematic for inexperienced teams like those of the minor league, and even some of the international guys, I think, can kind of struggle with it. I mean, SPL has their own fair share of problems. It really just all depends, but I think with this composition, Armada have enough space denial from Sops' Unleash the Crypts that they're going to be able to at least chip away at the Phoenix enough so where Luminosity will have to make a decision between committing to the engagement or just letting that Firebird go.
LG grouped up as a 5-man, take down a tier 1 tower. Now all have to base because the minion wave is pushing heavily down towards the mid lane. Bra's already there, but most of Armada kind of hanging around in the jungle now. Really, Titita on the left is more important, but obviously Cope's involved in the game. He knows how tilting taking weakened speed buff will be, so he'll do that priority number 1 before they head over to this left-hand side.
Any jungler would be dead inside from losing their own speed buff. That's around the period where you know that things have kind of gone a little bit out of your own control. I think that Luminosity, if they want to find their way back into this match, they're going to have to rely on Armada's inexperience with these base sieges to try and make a comeback.
Well, I think a lot of that comes down to Cope and these ultimates then. I will say Sops this game so far, his ultimates have made a real impact too. A lot of LG's composition is run into you, run into your face, specifically the front line. And if you're going to eat the whole of it empty the crypts, you're going to have a bad time. Kiki though, 3-man taunt, but Geno missed. He couldn't find the snipe. The taunt brought him out of range. Surprisingly enough, no beads were burnt off of that taunt whatsoever. The Phoenix is already dead. Kiki's ult onto Clout in place doesn't do much. Armada's like, thanks very much, boys. Let's go down mid.
Yeah, there's nothing that feels worse than that. Geno already knows it,
Yep.
and you just have to try and stay calm, cool, and collected as the player in this scenario. Armada, though, they've got another creep wave. They're trying to make the same efforts in mid lane. No Searing Pain to follow it up, but the Unleash the Crypts has already come out.
And those crypts are just going to push LG back into their base. Copebby takes a lot of poke, but Broad does a good job appealing with Sibyl. All the while, Sops and sBennyQ bring down the Phoenix. 2 Phoenixes down, Fire Giant up for another minute. And to the right-hand side go Armada. The health bars aren't the greatest, however, so maybe a pick in the jungle. Bad news is, they're all on a ward. Snipe comes through, hits Cope. Cope dashes away. End of that engagement.
Well, now all of Armada know that Luminosity could see everywhere they were at. And I do like that Luminosity are still trying to hang in there despite having lost their mid and left Phoenixes in rather quick fashion. I don't really think that that's deterred the team from believing that they can make this healer composition work in the late game.
We're kind of looking, though, Taco, at 14 fights. In my eyes, that they have to win on defense here. 14 fights, get your Phoenixes back up off the first one, hopefully, probably the second. We saw that earlier on today happen. And then the next 2 team fights, so one's to get you even again, and the next one is to try and take Phoenixes in the base. But it's a big uphill task. LG have put themselves in a really awkward position right now. Armada hold all the control in this game, and I don't think they're done just yet. They're starting to group up on the right-hand side. Fire Giant up in about a minute's time, as you can see. Game 1 should be in the bag from Armada, barring any unfortunate issues.
And this started out pretty promising for Luminosity, too. I just think that says it says a lot about Copebby and his jungling capabilities, because for him to have brought Armada back in this sense...
He's a one-man army, this dude.
It is crazy how much he has done for this team.
One-man army, especially when some of the plays his team have made around him recently. He's putting on a show the best he can. Kiki goes in for the taunt, gets plucked around a little bit, but still going strong. Geno's been left alone with Copebby, though, and Cope once again will take his 9th kill of the game. He is divine in all senses of the word. The Phoenix under threat. Inbound can't do much for now. Weaken goes in, Weaken goes out. Gets the turtle off, but Clout gets credit for the kill on Sibyl. Armada committed for the pick and not for the Phoenix, and now they're being punished a little bit here.
And Kiki's going to end up cleaning up sBennyQ, and that should be the end of this Phoenix siege from Armada. They could have had all 3 Firebirds, but they got a little bit too greedy. Again, just chasing those kills.
Yeah, it happens. Probably a little stood a step there into a blink was pretty wise. Stops his gunner fall in the jungle to Kiki eventually. Inbound chasing after Bra, slows him down. No real damage just yet, but no dash available for Bra either. Cope's trying to hang around to help his team, blinking it onto 2, spin to win, but he put himself in a lot of trouble by doing this. He's got his beads available, so he may still need them.
Inbound going to force out the beads already, but now Kiki's here with the taunt. Mantle of Discord proc, though, still going to buy him a little bit more time. Speed buff has worn off for Copebby, but it doesn't even matter because look at how low this Titan already is.
Agreed.
Luminosity forgot that there was no one left to play defense.
At the highest level of play, when you're trying to escape as a team, sometimes you've got to commit back into support. Cope did just that, and it wasn't an easy task. He knew what he had available, though. He knew he had his beads. He also knew about his Mantle of Discord, so he really played around his itemization well there to Cope to make sure he got his team out of a very tricky situation.
Here's the problem, though, Hindu. With how low this Titan is, Armada can just take the Fire Giant and end the game. I am fully convinced that if they just focus all of their cooldowns onto this Titan, there is no chance it survives.
This is a game where you want sBennyQ, and I don't think many people have ever said that before, but the fact that he can just hold W and run at that Titan right now, he would be able to solo it himself, I believe, before anyone could really stop him. Once the beads are up, of course, but the airstrike would help out. Armada going to go back to the Fire Giant again. Weakened Phoenix on the left-hand side has respawned. Middle Phoenix is about to come back too. But why not take the Fire Giant first just to make this even easier than it has been so far? 20 kills in the game, 30 minutes in. LG are on the back foot against their minor league opposition.
Armada just got to move right now. There's no room, I mean, they have time, but you don't want to let that Titan heal as little as possible, if possible, and that's the big thing here. I think that Armada can definitely take away at least one of these Phoenixes to prevent that Titan from continuing to heal up.
Minion wave getting cleared out relatively quickly, and that's one of the awkward things for Armada to deal with here. Bruh, gonna have to tank up the front side, keep it on Sibyl. Kiki in the back! 3-man taunt into a sniper once again! There's not enough damage coming out of LG! Cop gets another kill. He'll finally get shut down by Clout, but now Clout forced to run away from Sibyl and Bruh. The Phoenix in mid falls down. sBennyQ relatively healthy alongside the rest of his team. Inbound trying to keep Sops busy and tank him up for now, but it's not going to be enough. This game should be over. Armada should be able to end, but I am casting North America, so I'm not 100% guaranteed, and I'm probably right to hold on for a second. Sibyl and Bruh, the tanks survive. Kiki turns them away. The Titan, please fall! Thank you, Armada! Game 1.
That was a little bit closer than what they wanted it to be. Even if they had failed, though, in that attempt, I still think that Armada were in good standing there, since everybody else from Luminosity had also already died. But Luminosity, that one pulled away from them so quickly, and it came from those 3 picks that occurred after Weekend was picked by the Pyromancer.
They win the game, and the guy is really out of his seat complaining. I'm pleased he is, because that game could have been even cleaner than that, I feel like. And hey, that's a sign of a real competitor. And that's not offense to him or the team. It's just like, hey, he's a real competitor that wants to win. He cares, and it's important to care. LG are really in a tough spot now, though. This season hasn't been the greatest for them. I don't know where it really went wrong in that game, though. What was it? Was it the whole lose pressure on the duo side of the map?
It was the picks. When they were able to pick Weekend, and Luminosity invested everything trying to kill Sibyl, and then they funneled into where Weekend was at. So that was what, three deaths that took place. And then right after, Armada didn't waste any time. They stayed objective-minded. That was the key point there, because they went straight to the Gold Fury. After getting the Gold Fury, they had the first real lead of this match, and then Cope just spammed pressure into Clout. He was not allowing him to get anywhere near.
Might as well at the moment just give MVP to Cope already. I don't care if LG win this set right now, unless someone comes up crazy. What a great game from Cope. What a great game from Armada. 1-0 to them. LG, well, 2 games in a row for elimination. Will they stay in the tournament? Let's find out. The desk is ready.
That's the question we're asking ourselves. I'll put my cord behind me as we put game number 1 behind us. And look at this. This was the surprise. People are looking for upsets. Here you go. Armada took it. Post-game stats brought to you by Axis Replay. What do the numbers say to you, Ryan?
Cope is the carry of Armada, and that is something that we've seen basically all split long and all week long. Cope is the leader of this team, man, and I love the shot of him just raging at his team after the game, because look, let's be real, Cope shouldn't have to go 10-1 in order to win a game where LG is playing that sloppy.
Cope really the hard carry in this matchup, constantly using those through the Cosmos perfectly at every single one of these Phoenixes, dunking down onto Geno. He was a little late into the last one, but was able to make it there, but also Geno coming up a little bit shy in a couple of these Phoenix engagement, missing the ultimate off those taunts.
I really want to point out something here with Cope's ultimate. He ults up and he sees the engagement he wants to go to, but he waits and he surveys the area. That's so important. I think, sure, we always talk about the ability to push buttons. Cope's ability to see the battlefield is really, really big, and I think, yeah, the Ratatoskr ultimate kind of puts that on display. But his ability to understand and navigate team fights like this, I think that's what makes him so strong.
Cope just played out of his mind, and Armada definitely had some moments where you're still scratching your head. I mean, Luminosity did as well. Kiki finds a sick 3-man taunt on left Phoenix, and Geno just misses snipe. And look, I know Geno's new to the mid lane. I think Geno's a really talented player, but you're not going to win many games when you're missing raw snipes off triple taunts.
Like I said, you know, I kind of got a little bit aggro with the SK. This is the stage. You've got to perform here at this stage. Cope, he's performing. You know, what's the phrase? The student becomes the master.
Yeah, he's outperforming Weekend, and his pro league brother basically. he played great that game. Weekend and the rest of Luminosity just fell a little bit flat. I will say that Geno with the second item, Soul Reaver, also not a fan of that. Soul Reaver is an item that does more damage based on the health that you have. You don't see a whole lot of second item chin size for a reason.
Yeah.
We should probably try and follow the same standard as a mid laner.